So it's time now to change out my tires. I have noticed that once I'm, driving around on my lawn, that I'm really tearing it up. And the reason for that is the standard tire that came with the Polaris 850 is quite knobbed up and tearing up the lawn. Okay, so I've played a little havoc trying to find a tire that will fit this rim, fit this vehicle, and still not tear up my lawn. Done a lot of going back and research, and the closest thing I can come up with, even after going to tire stores, even calling Polaris, was this Sun F tire that I bought from Amazon. They have a nice 4 kit. 2 for the back are the 26 by 14 by -10s, and the fronts are the 26 by 10 by 8 or -8. Okay, so that's what this tire is here. So today I'm going to go ahead and proceed to switch these out. I've done a lot of research in how folks are doing this online and getting the tires off the rim, and a whole host of activities up to and including obviously buying some basic machines, say from Harbor Freight. I'm going to try to do it first time here out the door pretty mechanically on my own. Let's go ahead and lift this guy up, get the tire off, and start working it off there. The first thing I'm going to do, of course, is just pull out the stem and let the air bleed out. Okay, I know it's incredibly on the cheap, but I'm going to go ahead with something I saw on the internet. I thought that was really kind of interesting. It's the same tool, but just done with a simple 2x4 and 2x6, and you're going to use that to break the bead. So I'm going to go ahead and build this thing real quick, put it up against the wall, and leverage it out as shown on the internet and YouTube. Now, the guy that actually did this claimed that he worked, was in the military, and he found himself outside quite a bit with no tools. So he came up with different ways to succeed, and it's again another moment where our boys in the military have done a nice job of educating you on how to do things with less. So here we go. We'll try this out. And maybe this piece of wood will be sitting here forever, and somebody will go, "What the hell was that for?" So the next step he suggested is to get yourself a little bit of an angle. I put a 10-degree on it. And get yourself ready to go and put it right there, and we're just going to simply use leverage to pop it. So let's see if it's as nice as what you see on the internet. I think I need a longer board. Oh, there we go. Look at that. So with the bead broken, I'm going to go ahead and run back over to the other side and start working this all the way around and taking it off. one for the U.S. military. Okay, now it's time to take the tire off. I've got a couple of myself little pry bars here, and I've seen the spoons, and I was going to buy them, but I'm hopeful that these will work. I'm going to go ahead just because I think this would be a little bit easier if we had some soapy water around it. It may not be necessary. Now they say, go ahead and make sure that tire's in the shallow part of the rim to get it out. Voila. I'm keeping these tires because you never know when you need them. I did think to go ahead and get myself some new rims and just put them off to the side, but just trying to be a little bit frugal with that moment. So it's time to clean up this and make sure that the new tire can be received. So it's interesting that they have a low D mark here, and I guess that matches up to the little yellow spot on the tire and helps you get it in the right location. So tip number 2 that I'm using from my friends in the YouTube community is some straps here to strap on the tire to the rim while you're working it around. I thought this was a neat idea because, obviously you're going to be fighting with the tire to put it on. So let's go ahead and use the straps and see what we get out of it. Okay, with a little foot persuasion, it came right on around the corner. Had to work it out just a bit. First time doing it, so it's a little bit of learning. Okay, first time doing it, a little bit rougher than it should have been. Hopefully, by the time I'm done with all 4 tires, in a much better place. Whew, getting a little winded. Recently, my father went out and purchased this 5-gallon Bead seeder, and actually, it's one of the reasons why I'm trying to do this myself. I want to try it out, so let's break it out of the box. Okay, simple deal. Just have to make sure that this piece here is facing down, the little lip that goes into the rim. So a couple things here. You're going to fill this up with the air. Once you get that all filled up, you're going to go ahead and put this in place and then use this lever to blow the air in quickly. You got to set this at a 45-degree angle and get it going. Now the one thing is about the tire, there's 2 reeds on this. One is you could put it on the side of a building or side of the wall and try to just do it that way, or you can elevate the rim up. Now I don't have a rim table to hold it all up, so if I do that, I'm going to have to do it from kind of a contraption down below that I'm going to have to build up, which is not a terrible idea because I kind of like the idea being it's horizontal. But I don't know until I start using this. I've never done this. So the tank is supposed to be at 40 pounds when I go to do this. Okay, a couple things from the manual. If you're standing up your tire to blow the air in, and since I'm not doing it off of a machine here and elevated and held in place, I'm going to go ahead and do this stand-up routine. You're supposed to have the wide side, your stem down, and you set your air right here and blow away. Okay, I've had a lot of trouble with the idea being very new. This is the first set of tires I've ever done a switch out on. So I follow directions. And the directions say very clearly here, when seating the bead, the max pressure is 28 pounds. Well, what was happening every single time I got to the edge of the tire, from about here to here, the back is seated, from here to here it wouldn't seat. So, I'm asking literally Reddit, I'm asking YouTube, I'm asking Google, I'm asking my dad, my son who happens to be big into auto sports. I'm asking everybody, hey, what do you do when you get to the max? Do you keep going? And to be honest with you, man, I just couldn't do it anymore. So I started doing things like putting different elements of grease or obviously more soap, then, possibly transmission fluid, very fluid there. Okay, so I tried everything, and it still wasn't working. Now, we are right now posting up negative numbers on temperature outside. So then I started thinking maybe the temperature. So I asked the local guru, Ron, hey, what'd you think? And his words were, just put more air in it. So everybody said, Dad said, Son said, everybody said, put more air in it. And I gotta be honest with you, that wasn't sitting with me well. So I took this blanket I'm sitting on right now, and I covered it up. I got my face covered. I got my hands covered. I got everything covered. I'm blowing more air into this thing. And I would get it down to about 5-10%. And now I'm up to 40 pounds. And I know in my head, I get to 42, I'm at 150% of that rating. So I kept going. And it wasn't good. So all of a sudden, I'm letting it in, letting it out, letting a little in, letting it out. And I'm kind of bouncing between that 38 and 42, 38 and 42. And all of a sudden, very quietly, unlike the seating of the rest of the bead, very quietly I hear, and it's in. So I can't tell you, I'm ready for this little adventure to be done. So let's close this out and put on a set of wheels. Okay, a couple things that I haven't talked about a lot on this video. One, you've got to make sure that the tire threads are facing the right way, and you can find that out by simply, there's an arrow here that this is the direction in which the tire goes. So you don't want to put that on the wrong way. I personally can tell you that you can look at this and see the pattern, but when in doubt, they have a little arrow here for you. Second thing is, when they ship these tires through the internet, maybe it is the case at the tire store, I don't know, I don't work at one, they are compressed. So right here, the distance between these 2 points is maybe 5 inches, probably closer to 4. And the rim itself is 10. So as a result, you're going to have a gap when you go to try to put this on. And if you don't have the equipment, as I'm doing here, then you're going to face another question, which is how do you close off the air while you're trying to pump it in, right? And I've tried everything. I've excluded some of that from the video so I can learn and share appropriately out to you all. But in the end, what I chose to do, unfortunately, because it's kind of messy, is I have some automotive grease that I kind of layer in pretty thick around the rim on the back side, and then when I use the air blaster, hopefully it seals. Now I have been shooting, in full disclosure, about 3-4 air blasts to get to it right. Put that in together with some of the errors of trying to put it together in the first place, and you know, you got elongated time. But I just took off the tire, took it over, broke the bead, and put it right here in front of you as I speak in less than 3 minutes. So it can be done. Now this is the tougher part, right? You got to put the tire on, you got to seat the bead, and then of course, as you've watched the video here, you got to make sure you don't blow yourself up with over airing it. So I'm going to continue on. I just wanted to put full disclosure of the next couple steps that I'm going to take here. After I put on the tire onto the rim, I'm going to have to grease it up to put the bead, close out the bead. You won't be able to see a lot of that other than me greasing it, and I just thought I would share that out. As the gods would have it, we've lost power, and I just received an official notice that it won't come on for another 4 hours. So I've got to open up the door so I can see what I'm doing, and I don't know how much more of this I have. Just enough. Okay, all the tires are on, and I think it's a good chance to sit back and reflect a little bit of what happened here. I think first, right off the bat, if you don't intend to do things yourself and you just thought, okay, I'll go change out a tire or something like that, I mean, you can do it, but again, it probably wouldn't be that much of an economic impact to go out and have somebody else do it. But I'm a do-it-yourself kind of person. I have the time. It's winter. In fact, we just lost power, as I said a moment ago. And so I've got the door open. I'm a little bit chilled out, but that's okay. We're going to finish out this episode. So the four things I think I took away from this that I find that I went out to the internet, to YouTube, watched others do that I think worked and helped me get through this process. There's a couple frustrating things I'm going to point out here in this closing monologue. Well, so the four things are: one, I think that piece where the guy from the military helped me out with breaking the bead, terrific, fantastic. It works. You put it on the wall, get a little leverage, pops the bead, really nice. Therefore, you're not using a car, trying to guess where your rim is and all that, or any other haranguing. You don't need to go to, pay your $70 to Harbor Freight to get it done. So if you have a wall area somewhere where you can put it in the garage and bolt it up, it's done. It's good. Number two, the straps. I think the straps probably weren't completely necessary, but they just keep it just that much more stable if you don't have a tool like the Harbor Freight tool to put on the tire on. So it helped me kind of hold the tire on. Just remember, and I had made the mistake several times, that you're putting the tire into the shallow part of the rim and then tightening up with the clamps. Because if you put it in the area that is not shallowed out, it just is impossible to get the tire on. So I think once I did that, every time, boom. And I had forgotten a couple times during the course of the 4 tires. The third point, when you are putting on the air blaster and all that, I think, and I didn't film every time I did the air blaster. I did struggle a bit on it because I did not have the rim sealed out on the back side of the blast, so the blast of the top side, the back side would be the seal out necessary. Hard to do, particularly for the fourth point. If you are receiving tires that are brand new, and again, I don't work at a tire dealership, so I don't know if they all come in this way, but I can tell you, and you can see it in that piece with the tire at the end there, it was off by at least 3 inches off the rim. So you got to close it out on the bottom, put that air blaster in, and I mean, I'm telling you, it's almost as if it's luck played a better part there than anything else. So what did I do? Another thing I learned from YouTube is just basically grease it up. Try to close off that air. It's not sealed. It's going to be still 80% of, but it gave enough of a vacuum to close it up with the air blaster and get that thing done, the bead blaster. So I would say those are the 4 points that I took away from the YouTube community that really helped out. Obviously, there's other points to be made along the way. But I saw a lot of folks just kind of putting tires on rims. I think for the most part, they're either dealing with old tires or tires, even if they're new, they're formed better to the rim. This was a bear at times, and I can say that. I do also think that I would recommend those spoons. Yeah, the 2 tools I was using to kind of pry the tire off worked. I got through it. Obviously, you can see the tires are on, but I think that would have been just a bit nicer and easier to work with, and maybe just a little bit less ding here and there on the rim that I noticed that I did. Not too many, but a couple here and there that I would like to believe those spoons would have kept you away from. Postscript. As you saw, I had problems with the point of the max pressure of the bead. I don't know. Again, as I said, maybe at the tire dealership they are not struggling with that. They just pump it in until it pops. But I think it's ludicrous, and something that I guess if a complaint was the tire here from this manufacturer, that you put 28, max 28 on the seat the bead. I had soap on this. I got transmission fluid. The viscosity of that is very high. I had grease on it, as you can see. I've even put more grease on it than I'm willing to even admit. So I did everything to get it to be able to just slide in. And I think that, reading that for a novice, you would hit that as a brick fence. And it's a bit anxious. When you get up, this last tire, I put 60 pounds in it to get it to pop. That's over double their rating. And I think that's unacceptable, to be honest with you. So that's one complaint. The tires themselves don't know, haven't used them, we'll see. But getting them on, I would have liked to have had a little bit more confidence that seat the bead rating was closer to the number. And I don't believe that you could have put just the perfect lubricant on there, whether it be Dawn detergent or whatever, to get it to pop at 28. There's no way that would have went on at 28. So postscript. So with that, I'm gonna go ahead and roll out of the shop here and close up this video. Thank you for watching to the end.